Every time I talk about signal, the first question I get is, well, what exactly is a signal? Is it data? Is it something else? How do you define it? Think of signal as any piece of information that carries the power of action. So if a weather forecast comes in and says, hey, it's going to rain in the next hour, and therefore you need to take an umbrella, that's power of action that contained within that bit of information. So that's a signal. So think of it in that context as anything that can ultimately influence a decision and influence an outcome, ultimately drives the power of action. And attention, which we define as the thing that you need to focus on. And as intelligence becomes ubiquitous and as compute keeps getting cheaper, you have more data, you have more dashboards. To cut through all that clutter, we have to focus on the things that are scarce, i.e., the attention that enterprises need to allocate to problems, as well as, what do you want your agents to be paying attention to as well, which is an emerging problem that we're going to talk about a little bit later on in the presentation. A few other definitions before we dive into the content. People often ask, what is Signal Labs? Is it a business analytics company? Is it an AI company? What is it? Is it a platform? So we're introducing what we're calling a new category. So for decades now, we've had systems of record would store the ground truth of any operational system. We've had systems of insights and analytics, which turn operational realities into information and insights. And then systems of engagement for the last 20 years or so, i.e. your portals, your apps, and ways in which your customers, members, users interact with the systems of record or systems of insight. But there isn't anything that says, how do you categorize things that you need to pay attention to? And hence this new category that we're calling systems of attention, where the unit of record is not data. If you think about it, systems of record, systems of insight, systems of engagement are all built up on a sort of ground up from data. Whereas what we're building is based entirely on signals, and it's a top-down system. So think of decisions down to signals, and the software that creates all of the action in the middle is what we're creating. And then a couple of terms that are related to our IP. SignalOS is our user experience that anyone is able to use to ultimately make the decisions that we would be proposing to do so. And then SignalGraph is our coordination engine. So think of all the things that need to get correlated via Blackboard architecture. There's a proprietary piece of technology that we're developing called SignalGraph. So think of that as something that sits on top of LLM, built on the RAG and the knowledge graphs of a LLM, and then top of that, create the context and ultimately correlate that to signals to create the graph that we now define as SignalGraph, part of our patent that we filed as well.